Hello, gorgeous soul sister. I cannot believe,
Hello.
first of all, we are so lucky, for those of you watching, to have Lorien because she is streaming live from Kenya. So we're just crossing our fingers for the Wi-Fi. But I just want to show you, like, this is how committed she is to speak to you today. For those of you that might be on the fence, those of you that are curious, Lorien's taking time out of her day while she's been off on safari, and it's actually her hometown, because she cares deeply about wanting to share her experience. So that just speaks to how amazing you are, Lorien. I've missed you. You've only been out of soul to soul for like a week or two. And it's so amazing to see your shining face. So take it away. This is Lorien. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Lucy. Yes, hi, I'm Lorien, and I am originally born here in Kenya, and it's wonderful. I'm back where my home roots are. But before I was here, I've been living in the UK, in the United Kingdom, in the northern sort of area, in a place called Chester. And I am 31 years old, and I have been working as a veterinary surgeon for the last 8 to 9 years. And that's pretty much sort of been my defining factor for a long, long time. But quite exciting. I would like to share with you a little bit later how Soul to Soul really has opened up my sort of understanding really of my higher purpose. But that's a little juicy nugget for later. So we'll share that later.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hear exactly where you're at right now with all that good stuff. So you are looking radiant and glowy and like your Queen Lorien. So we'll get to all the good stuff. But first of all, I'd really love to go back to when you and I first connected, right? I was in LA at the time, actually. And we had this beautiful phone call, which wasn't an easy call, right? It was courageous what you went through during that hour and a half. I'd love if you could just take yourself back to that moment, Lorien, of how you were before Soul to Soul, before the deep work, just so that these beautiful soul sisters watching can get a sense of, you know, what wasn't working, how you really felt, and why you decided to actually make the call in the first place.
Yeah, great, Lucy. I think it's so important to remember where you come from or where you are in a position in life, because I think it really gives you that opportunity to truly actually say to yourself, nada, this is not working for me and I want better.
Yeah.
So before Soul to Soul, I actually, yeah, I was very much a tough cookie. I've always been a very independent soul. You know, I was very, very much sort of headstrong. I've always been quite a big noise. I've always been quite sort of focused in my career. And through the process of doing that in the sort of a modern society that we live in, especially in the UK, as soon as I hit the age of 30, I sort of resided to the fact that, do you know what? My career is the most important thing right now. And it doesn't matter if I don't find the right guy, if I don't find my soulmate, because you know what? I can order sperm off the internet. And I remember having this chat with you, Lucy, in our breakthrough call. And I'd been telling myself this story for so long that actually that was what was going to happen. And in telling myself that story, I'd actually got myself into a really, really sort of sad and unhappy place, thinking that I was going to have to do one of the most beautiful, wonderful journeys that we as beautiful women get to do on my own. And that's because I chose to do that. So coincidentally, I called out that I was like, I just want life to change. I'm really in a really bad place. I don't want to end up proving my story of being this independent woman running a life and having a child by herself with, you know, as she said, choosing this life of sort of independence, and you know that I can do it myself. Of course I can. And I got this beautiful reaching out. It was a video image of Lucy, your beautiful face, and what you do and how you are with Soul to Soul. And initially I thought, too good to be true. Why would I have something like that? So I really actually then was inquisitive about it, and I wanted to come into that, and hence we had that breakthrough call. It was probably the hardest conversation I think I've actually truly had to have in my 30s. Um, because Lucy, what you did is you made me realize that I have been making up excuses of how I've been showing up in my life and how had planned this life that I was going to live into. And if I hadn't have broken the cycle, I'd probably be having a very different conversation with you right now. I'd probably be sitting here pregnant with my donor sperm. Okay, it'd probably be very beautiful sperm because I can choose it in a catalogue, but there's no emotional connection. There's no femininity to it. So yeah, I was in a pretty dark place.
That's not what you wanted. And,
no.
and this is what I love that you're talking about this, because it's like, we can get cocky and it's like, well, you know, I've got till 45 or whatever. Every single woman is different. You know, I've been through the fertility cycle. I know where it's at. And it's like, you know, some people at 30 can't even use IVF because they're past it. Their doctors won't even let them. And then you've got someone at 45, yes, that can have a baby, but it's a lottery. And just relying on the fact that one day the universe is just going to bring it to you and living in hope is irresponsible. And it means that you're not taking action. And it means that you're actually, as you said, Lorien, so beautifully, like you were putting the energy and the focus into your plan B, not your plan A. And that's exactly what you would have had. Is there anything wrong with it? No, there's plenty of people having babies on their own. But at the end of the day, you're in a place and an age where you can do something about it. And it's such an important conversation, because our future goes the way that we say. And you chose to actually put that shit to bed because it wasn't your truth, and go, I'm feeling that there is another way. And then you got on the call. So I just want to let you continue, but it's so easy to slip into the trap of plan B, to hide in the independence. In this world we live in, we do have all these opportunities now, but you've got to keep it simple, girls. You know, beautiful women watching. Is this what you truly want? Is this why you're put on the planet, to go that alone? It's a huge thing being a mother on your own. Like, I grew up, you know, with a mum who took care of me and my brother because my dad died, and she did an amazing job, but like, it's not the way she would have chosen, you know? So I just wanted to elaborate on that, Lorien, because I don't think enough people are actually really, we can't know until we've had a baby, but it's like, you're just kind of approaching it from like, well, you know, I'll just have a baby of my own, versus, is this really the way that I want to do it? So continue.
Yeah, no, Lucy, you're so right. So I think it was actually the first time on that call when I said it out loud to you in that call, that I was choosing for a life that actually I really didn't want. I just felt pressured into it because I don't know how many people feel, but as soon as you turn 30, it's almost like there's this magical TikTok that when you're walking, everyone almost knows that you're 30. And it's almost like all these people feel that it's their right to come up and talk to you and say, oh, you're 30, you're not married, or haven't got children yet, or time's running out. And, you know, it was a real bizarre transition. You know, 29, not a problem. Yeah, it was great. No one even thought about it. But as soon as that big 3-0 came into the world and I was embracing it, I suddenly felt really proud to be 30. And I was soon knocked off that pedestal, because it was suddenly like, oh, what's wrong with you? Because you haven't found your soulmate, or you haven't got married, you haven't got children. So my defense to the world was, I don't need that. I can do it by myself. And actually, when I really sat and with you on that call, and as you can imagine, the old sort of character and the old way that I worked, I was a very strong person out of fear, because I didn't want to end up alone, really. And I wasn't a crier, or so I thought. And Lucy actually really brought me to tears on that call, and I'm so grateful for that, because what that really did is it made me realize to say, stop. There is a better choice for you, and it's just knowing how that choice can be. And actually, it's not just a better choice, it's a phenomenally better choice. It's not even plan A is here, this is new plan. So it really is knowing how to do that. And that's really what that breakthrough call really made me realize, was actually, do you know what? There is so much out there for the taking, and I really have been denying myself by trying to live by plan B.
Amen. Amen. And it's amazing that we're fighting for a plan B, right? We're fighting for our fear and our scarcity versus, and this is so many people, it's like that Marianne Williamson quote, you know, we're terrified of our light. We know how to deal with our darkness. So it's like, imagine what your life could look like, you beautiful soul sisters listening, if you actually took a moment to honor what your heart is trying to tell you, because you've been moving away from it, you're not listening to it, and this is why you're not where you want to be. And so that's what you did. You took a step and you got on a call, and here we are. So before we move into the good stuff, what sort of things were going around in your head other than being wildly independent and like, I've got this and I'm going to do plan B? How did you feel about yourself? What was the connection with you?
So, yeah, good question, Lucy. How did I feel about myself?
Deep down, how were you really feeling other than the bravado?
I was feeling really fragile, and I was feeling really quite terrified at the fact that I was going to end up alone, because I didn't actually feel like I was deserving enough to be able to have this soulmate relationship, to be able to have a family, to be able to create my own family with another person.
Yeah.
And I also really, in myself, I didn't feel enough. I felt that, you know, that one of the big things I remember on the call that we discussed is, I said, one of my biggest frustrations in my sort of repeat ex relationships was how the people I was dating would falsely advertise themselves. And the more I obviously went through the beautiful journey that I've gone through with Lucy, I realized where that actually came from. And that actually was me. I was falsely advertising myself. I was this great, fun, beautiful light on the outside. It was, you know, it was everything but fun, you know, everything that you wanted to be. And it was exciting. But if you scratch the surface, actually what was on the inside was a terrified person who was just so fearful of losing an opportunity for love, an opportunity for a family, because I wasn't good enough and I didn't deserve that, and I don't deserve that. And that's really quite some raw emotions to go through and actually really feel.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's how I felt.
I can feel that too when you're sharing that. And I've been there too. That's why I teach this, you know, like everything you're saying, you know, deep down, I was terrified to be vulnerable. I expected relationships to fizzle, you know, it's like, this is where we've got to get really honest. And you did realize, hang on a minute, it's not the guys that are falsely advertising themselves. You're attracting that in. Like, I was attracting in men to leave, because that's how I was hardwired from my own abandonment. And so it's not about looking prettier, changing your profile, dating more, because the bottom line is, you know, at that point, Lorien, you weren't even in a place to truly attract in what you wanted. You were attracting in what you didn't want. So the journey was super sacred to see you shut out the need to even date and to come home to you. So let's move into what the journey was like for you, just like with the soul sisters that are in this beautiful group right now, who are potentially really, really interested in doing this for themselves. What would you say to her right now? Like, just give us an idea, obviously not going through the modules and stuff, but like, what was the experience like for you?
So I want to use the cliche life-changing. It really has been an eye-opener. What I've really felt, and I'd love to say this for like fellow soul sisters looking to do this journey, you've got to be prepared that it's not a case of tick a box, move in, say a few things, thank you very much, I expect XYZ. And actually, I love the fact that it's not that easy. I love the fact that you have to really put down the groundwork into wanting a better, a more profound future for yourself. So it's definitely about prioritizing yourself. Okay. And it's almost like there's a dirty word out there that we were all actually in the group that I was in, beautiful, gorgeous soul sisters. We all similarly had this energy feeling that the word selfish was a dirty word. And
well, you and most of the planet feel that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just really would love to say that, do you know what? You are meant to be in this group for soul to soul. If you are at this level already, you've had your breakthrough call, or you've got your breakthrough call booked in, you know, that as soon as I committed to that decision to putting myself first, I almost wanted to turn around and run 1,000 miles per
Yes.
hour in the other direction.
Yes.
I was totally afraid that I had actually let myself make that decision. However, I would absolutely advise turn that around and just keep going in that forward direction. The amazingness that happens through soul to soul. So you're with a group of complete strangers that probably I would never have the fortune of crossing those paths of these people had I not done the journey of soul to soul. And it's actually a beautiful way that you get to commit and share and actually up level yourself in this beautiful, safe environment. But what it also does is it actually takes you into that real world, that transition, that what you do through the soul to soul work is actually who you are going to be in the real world. So it's not like, you know, it's not like a magic trick. It's not like a fake sort of bravado. It literally is the commitment in this group, and with these beautiful fellow soul sisters that you get to work with, is actually who you then get to be in that real world. And what it made me realize is these divine people that I were coming across, I will now come across them in my up-leveled self, because I'm actually aligning myself with who I am being for myself as Lorien. And I mean, who needs to do anything but smile? I have these beautiful new cheek muscles, Lucy, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
This is also hard work through soul to soul, because the end product really is actually just that wonderful word of happiness. And I'm not gonna lie, it is gritty. It is a challenge. There are places that you have to be prepared to be honest. And that's a word I really resonated with during Soul to Soul, because I was always very good at sidestepping that honesty and actually making excuses for it and finding any which way to not be honest with myself. And the only person I was letting down was myself. And again, by joining Soul to Soul, I put a full stop to that, because I was truly committed by letting myself be vulnerable with where I've come from, who I was being, how I've been showing up in my life for the last 30 odd years, really hasn't got me anywhere. And actually that I'm very proud of that journey, because without that journey, I wouldn't be here.
That's right.
And I really feel that actually going through all of that isn't a bad thing at all. But what it has done is it's made me realize that you can actually make a choice for yourself. You don't have to just live in this little box that you've created of yourself, of not being deserving, not being enoughness, being scared, being frightened, and really coming out of that box and saying, thank you, but no thank you. This is my new box. And actually this box has no walls. It's beautiful.
That's right. No lid.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Lorien, hearing you speak like this, and the way that you showed up in Soul to Soul was nothing short of inspiring. You know, it did kick your butt. There were tears upon tears. There were moments where did you ever feel like you wanted to quit, or did it come close to just being like, oh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Lucy. Yeah, I'm not, you know, obviously I didn't, because I'm here.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to quit is because it was that initial battle with myself of actually realizing that this old, I'm not enough, I'm not deserving, I'm never going to find my soulmate, you don't have children, you know, on your with your beautiful relationship, you have them on your own. This story that I created with myself, it was comfortable. I told myself it for so long, it was there, I didn't have to think about it. It was like a robot, you know, I was living my life in this sort of like routine. And because it was familiar, it felt safe. And actually, I'd really come to terms with actually safe is not what I felt in that zone. I felt totally out of control of my life, that I was having no say in what was going to happen. Even though I was creating that's how it was going to be, and I was choosing plan B, I was actually not really actually having control of it. It was almost like I'd wished for it and then stepped back because that's what was going to happen.
Yes.
And
you forgot you could actually get what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what that sort of journey in the soul to soul made me realize is that you can actually take that back. It's okay. You know, don't worry that you once thought that, because the fact that you thought it also made you realize actually where your fears came from.
Yeah.
And going head on head with your fears, but not from a place of thinking, which has been so normal and natural for me to come from here. The longest journey for me in soul to soul was the shortest distance in your body. It was from head to heart.
Yeah.
But by God, was it a long journey. And yes, there were times that I was like, okay, I'm getting on the train and I'm leaving. I am done. But I just couldn't do it, because deep down my heart knew that what I was out to create and what I was fighting for myself really actually is where I want to be in life and what I want to do and how I want to be for the rest of it. So, yeah, but I enjoyed the challenge of wanting to quit, because it just made me think and really dig into the work that you provide for us, but also to really open up my heart, because that's something I shut off for so many years. And not being afraid to have emotions. That was a big keeper in keeping me in that journey from my head to my heart, that it was actually, it's okay to feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not okay. It's vital, right? Especially when you're attracting in a relationship. It's like, you know, you were trying to do love with your walls up and a closed heart, not feeling. It's like, yeah, great. How's that going to go for you? It's not. You're going to attract in an emotionally closed man, where you'll be married for a few years and then it'll end in tears, because you've not started off from a solid foundation. So how would you describe, you know, why this is different to so many online programs that, you know, I get a lot of women that come to me that are burnt and they're angry and they're like, why should I do your program? I've already done other programs that don't work. I said, because this is not a do-it-yourself program. This is not I send you modules and then and it's all automated. This is a live program where I'm in your corner every step of the way. Plus we've got a team. There's brilliant mindset coach. But how would you just describe, the level of support that you had from beginning to end?
I you know, no words can actually truly describe that feeling. So, I'm just going to share what I felt actually, as opposed to just talking about it. So, the most beautiful thing about Soul to Soul is actually you felt that you were truly supported, that Lucy and her amazing team and a real holistic approach to up-leveling yourself, no matter how deep and dark you wanted to dig back from yourself, no matter how angry, how much rage, how many emotions were flooding in left, right and center, to how sad you felt because you'd realized where you'd come from, what you'd been holding back, where you had really shut off to the world and not let anyone ever in, and you know, that you'd really actually, you know, were so fed up and frustrated with how life just never worked out. Having that beautiful support network, from head to toe, from heart to head, from, you know, every part of my body, knowing that however hard or however upsetting I was going to make myself feel by doing the work, that I always had the support from Lucy and her amazing team. That's one aspect of Soul to Soul. And also the way that the modules work, I mean, they're fantastic, and they're so convenient for people who have a hectic schedule. And it really taught me to prioritize myself. And again, that beautiful word of selfishness. Yeah, I took up all the space that I wanted to take up. I wasn't afraid to actually put myself first. And by committing to that work, it really did make that difference. So got to realize that it's okay to share this journey with someone. And that someone, Lucy, obviously is you. And I can't thank you enough for it, definitely. But on the other side of Soul to Soul, you have Lucy and her amazing holistic team. You've also got this gorgeous group of soul sisters who I mentioned previously that maybe you would never really come across in your at the moment day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that you get to share yourself on every level, whether or not it's how you feel for the day that you've first woken up. So, you know, you've got your beautiful bed head, you're still in your pajamas, to taking yourself on beautiful dates. You're gorgeous, you're dressed up, you're feeling all that sort of sensual energy. No matter how you presented yourself in this beautiful group, that each of these soul sisters, we were all working together, and we all had these beautiful realizations through our shares and the way that we worked together. And having this group, it really held me accountable that if I wasn't sharing and I wasn't being selfish by taking up space and doing things, that actually I wasn't giving fullness to the group, and they were actually not benefiting from me sharing. So what it really teaches you is that beautiful sort of way that you are going to be this person you want to be. This is how you are that person. And guess what? The real world is just over there. It's not millions of miles away. It's literally just a step away. And that transition from you wanting to change to sharing yourself and being in the real world, that's what Soul to Soul did differently for me. It actually, because I've done quite a lot of self-help, I've done lots of sort of mindset work and coaching and neuro-linguistic programming. I mean, I could sit here all evening and bore you to death with half the things I've done.
Tell us what else you did. No, we'd love to hear, just in a nutshell, what had you tried? NLP?
So neuro-linguistic programming, mindset coaching. I've actually studied diplomas in myself with performance development coaching in a sort of corporate and in a personal world. Yeah. We have a lot of support in our profession that I work for, and there was a lot of sort of mindset work, development work. So I was trying to do it professionally. I was trying to do it personally. I was trying to go down the route of self-help. Like, I can heal myself. I can do this, no problem.
Yes.
And yeah, it's the language is there and the way that you do things, but it's actually having that support and that group that you work with that actually, I think, accelerated my acceptance of actually how an amazing person I get to be every day.
Yes. And I want to add to that too. Two things. One, you mentioned the power of the collective with your soul sisters. I've had women that I mentioned that have, specifically said, I have been burnt by online programs. I just want to work with you privately. And they sound like amazing women. But I said, look, I don't work privately. If I thought that was the most powerful way, I still would. It's not. So you have to trust that you don't know the way. And it's like, sometimes we think we want it this way. I want to work privately, or I want this and I want that. What's in the program? You don't even know what you need right now. So stop asking the questions. I get that all the time. I'm like, do you want to get to the outcome or not? Because I've taken care of the process. I've done the heavy lifting. This comes from 15 years of investment in myself, which is well over $200,000. And you're getting this in 8 weeks. So it's like, every single thing has been thought about. And if you can just trust your heart to actually follow through, to chat about this and know that it's not about you questioning, that's the masculine questioning. Well, that's the control. I need to know. Like, you don't need to know any of that. You need to ask yourself, do I want to radically change my life? Do I want to be this time next year in a relationship with someone heading towards marriage and babies, if that's your thing, or not? All the other stuff is just having a conversation. So there's that piece around, stop trying to think that you know the way. All you got to look at, like Lorien said, is she's a great example. She's gone and done at least 5 things on one hand. I'd say both hands. She tried because she's an amazing woman who's out there having a red hot go. The bottom line is, she was still over in a prison. The guards were outside and no one was coming in. The second thing I wanted to mention that you just said, and I've completely forgotten it now, was, you just said it. So it's about the group, and then it was something else you just said. That's okay. It was 2 things. You just said something else really profound. Because you know how you mentioned the soul sisters, and it's like, often I'll have people just saying, I don't want to work in a group. I don't like doing that. And it's like, you haven't done this yet. And the women that are in there are next level, because I'm only looking for A+ players here. I'm only looking for women that are ready to rock and roll. This is not a place where you've got women sitting there hiding. It's not going to happen. And the second thing, Lorien, I can't remember what it was. Where are you now?
Sorry, darling. I just had to move. The dogs have got a bit wild.
Oh,
so,
I think on oh, there's no reception.
Is that better?
Yep. We'll wrap now anyway, because you've been outstanding. I think the second thing was just that, you know, you tried all these other things and yet it still hadn't got you a different outcome. So
yeah,
that's what I think is very relevant for a lot of people to hear, because it is frustrating when you have already been trying things. And of course there's going to be that thing of, oh my God, how do I know this is going to work? But that's also what shows up in relationships. You know, just because you've been burnt a few times does not mean your soulmate's not out there, but it's about getting the right support so that you can get into that new identity that's aligned with receiving. Otherwise,
definitely.
You just keep pulling the past, putting it in the future, and wondering why the hell nothing's changing. So was there any resistance? But, you know, I mean, I can remember there was a little bit, but was there anything that had you really not do this process? Real talk.
Yeah. So again, like when you actually look back at all the things that you've tried to invest in yourself. So again, I think I wanted to just really also clarify that for you, Lucy, as well, and especially any of you girls and beautiful women who are thinking of doing this program, is that sort of the deepness of the work. So a lot of this self-help stuff really is superficial.
Yes. I love that it cuts out at that moment. Lorien, can you please go back? Sorry, darling, can you go back to where you were? It just cut out again. It cut out when you said superficial, which is hilarious. Don't worry about dogs barking, because we'll just wrap.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Sorry, is that any better?
Yeah, that's better. But yeah, you're right. Other stuff goes top line and it's all cerebral.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely about sort of actually just trusting the process. You know, Lucy has definitely done this. You know, she wouldn't be able to do the work that she does with you had she not felt every feeling, every resistance, everything that you know, feel at the start of things. So for me, that biggest resistance was actually looking back on it. I'd spent a huge amount of money and I was pretty much where I started. I was a bit better. I understood things a bit more. I was able to be more communicative, but actually the deeper work inside, the real heart work, the real sort of feeling, and that wonderful word, that femininity. It's my favorite word. And really, I didn't I wasn't able to actually fully connect with it. And again, that old story of mine that these guys would show up as falsely advertising, that's what I felt like a lot of these programs did. They would falsely advertise that you were going to have something at the end of it. And I know through this program, I am going to have something at the end of it. And it's through the work that I've done through the group with Lucy and my soul sisters that's provided it. So coming into Soul to Soul, what were my main sort of challenges that put me off? It was about the resourcefulness. So I'd always been prepared to be able to the financial side of things. For me, that was a big barrier. I'm self-employed. I set myself up as a limited company 18 months ago. And I'd always been very sort of careful. And again, sort of an old story about sort of finances and things and what it was. And actually what I realized is that, you in this world that we actually live and get to work in and do and feel in, actually, you know, what you're prepared to part with is also what you're prepared to get return from. And
amen.
If I was in this situation again, knowing what I know now, Lucy, and been through the program, had we had that breakthrough call, you wouldn't even have to ask me twice. I would be there with my card saying, how much? Great. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Not the reason I don't care from a place of because it's blasé and I'm ignoring it. I don't care because I would pay that over and over again just to have that experience, and also the change in what you can achieve for yourself. So going back to the beginning part of the call of, yes, I work as a vet, but I'd realized through this work actually that I hadn't really been showing up as my higher purpose. And part of that, ironically, is actually helping more people than it is animals. And I'm a very, Yes, absolutely. Of course, with your beautiful dog Stevie, we
Yeah.
love her.
Oh, darling.
So what it made me realize is that I have a great sort of energy about myself, and actually using that to help other people. And I love the way that the body is part of our beautiful soul that we get to be part of. So it's a way of connecting our bodies and our souls, and it's a way of using myself through, again, a similar process of using coaching, but in empowerment coaching through yoga. And I've got this wonderful buzzword which you guys will all hear about one day, called empoga. And that's what my sort of up leveling in myself. And I have absolutely no fears and no worries about future financial issues, because the money that I've spent through Soul to Soul is going to come back over and over and over again. It's not, I'm going to laugh at it in years to come. I'm going to write myself that little check, and I'm going to laugh at it one day, Lucy, and I'm going to just be so grateful that actually then it was nothing, and it really was worth every penny.
That's just so awesome, because that's the truth. Like, so many women come in who are freaking terrified, and then they're like, oh, out of the blue, I got this promotion. Out of the blue, I got this new client. I got this pay rise. It's like, it's not out of the blue, PS. It's because you're in new energy of receiving.
Yeah.
So everything you're saying is spot on. You get what you pay for. Like, no, this is not some free program. No, this is not $100 program. Like, when people say, oh, I didn't think it'd be more than $100. It's like, what planet are you on? You think $100? Like, well, I've been paying that for my therapist each week. I go, yeah. And you've been there for 15 years and nothing's changed. Like, hello, you invest more in a car. You know, we've got to get real, people. Because if you don't think you're worth investing in yourself, how on earth do you expect someone to actually, you know, how do you expect to, well, first of all, someone else to invest in you, but also how do you expect to receive if you're not giving that to yourself? We've got some sort of strange notion of like, well, I can invest in university, but whoa, heaven forbid I put that into me. And there's something wrong with that. It's saying to the universe, I'm not worthy to receive. As long as I go to university, I'm out there striving with an external resource to get that degree, to get that whatever. That's awesome. I think education is obviously extremely important, but I'm just saying that you get so many women, you know, they're out there in, you know, in these professions with this degree or masters that they've spent a fortune on. I've got Harvard grads in my program. That was a lot of investment. And they said to me, yeah, it was great, but I'm not where I want to be right now. So it's just about being honest. You know, do you want to get to that dream? Yes or no? If you do, it's going to take commitment. And that's what Lorien's spoken into all the way through. If you've noticed, she's really kept coming back to, I wanted more. She stepped up, like all my women who come in. I'm so in awe of you and these soul sisters, because it really takes courage. And from courage is where everything starts to happen. So Lorien, it's been an exquisite co-creation, exquisite watching you really come home to the magic of who you are. I adore you. I adore the new energy that you're living in and that you're like illuminating the world with. And I know that this is just the beginning. And if you shared quickly about how you feel now about, you know, family, having your own family and soulmate, like, how do you feel about that right now?
Oh, Lucy. Well, firstly, I'm so totally grateful for my gorgeous soulmate. So I have this amazing soulmate who basically, you know, is my best friend in life. He's my partner in crime. And we have this gorgeous divine soulmate family. And the feeling of coming home to me being a mama, like a cute little mama bear with my little, you know, little Bubba bear and my Papa bear. And we have this gorgeous divine family. And I just feel so at peace and so at ease. And you know what? It is so much easier to accept who you are deserving to be, especially from my sort of knowing enoughness now, than fighting it and resisting it. It's exhausting. Coming to who you are is just, honestly, I wake up every morning, and as I said, I always wanted high cheekbones. I've just now got high cheek muscles. So thank you, because I get to have them every day. So yeah, I just love this new creation that I've created for myself. I've chosen to put myself first. I've chosen to up level into this. And yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait. And I'm so excited for my journey as a mother and a soulmate as well.
So I'm not getting any Plan B vibes going on over here. We can say.
Oh God, I'm almost like slightly embarrassed that I had a Plan B. I'm like, me Plan B? No,
Don't be.
you must have the wrong person.
No.
And yeah, no, Plan B's cute. Plan B's, you know, over there. I like to like remind myself occasionally, just a little bit of it every now and again, because it's also really important to remember where you've come from.
That's right.
Because it keeps me grounded. That it just makes me realize to say, hey, see, you were in a very bad place, but you know what? Look how easy and fun and great your future is going to be. And I have a real giggle with myself about that.
Good. And this is the thing, like the hearing Lorien speak with so much power. I mean, I normally, you know, I often would talk quite a lot in these, but I love that you've just been like, boom, 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 boom. This is what I got. This is where I'm at. Like, it's the certainty that's flowing through you, the confidence that's coming from within, Lorien. That's such a big difference from when I first spoke to you. I mean, I saw who you were on that call, right? I mean, I saw your higher self, and I told you that. I always see that in my beautiful women. I don't think that anyone's broken, but that's my mastery, is to bring you home to the epicness of who you are. And I saw that on our first call. And now my intuition was spot on. You're fucking powerhouse. It's just, you know, you're unleashed into the world now where you can't help but have an impact on people without even trying. And I know you've noticed the feedback even from friends and family about your different energy. And I just can't wait to see what comes next. I'm one of your biggest fans. And she did this in 8 weeks, right? We're not talking 8 years. We're not talking 1 year, 8 weeks. So you should be bloody proud of yourself. And thank you so much for giving us such an in-depth idea of, you know, your experience and where you are now. And Empoga is going to be phenomenal because you're phenomenal. So it's a no-brainer.
Great. Oh no, Lucy. Yeah, no, the thank yous are all mine. And also I always have a little gratitude for you every day, because I just think, wow, where would I be now had I not been through Soul to Soul? And I think back to that old story where I came from, and there's nothing wrong with it. Of course there's nothing wrong with it, but nobody ever wants to live in Plan B. No, thank you.
No.
Plan up here all the way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Lid on.
Love it.
Ahead to that dream. Oh my God, I love you. I could continue talking, but I have no doubt that this has spoken really deeply to women that needed to see this. And is it okay if they reach out to you?
Absolutely. More than happy to share any questions, any sort of like, oh, is this real? Is it not real? It's real and it's awesome. And yes, the only word you need is yes. It's amazing.
Well, the truth is you actually can't fake energy. Like people, I've felt you the whole way through. That's why I keep doing the occasional this, because my eyes are leaking. Oh, AKA crying. But it's true. You can't, it's just the same with relationships. And this is what I'm just going to wrap on. We can't fake how we feel. We can't pretend we've got an open heart, right? Someone's either feeling you or they're not, and vice versa. You know what it's like to be out with a man and he's just all like lovely, saying all the right things, but you cannot feel or connect. And it's a horrible feeling. And I've been there where I had every single bodyguard, you know, working double time for me. And I used to get the same feedback. I really like you, Lucy, but you're not really available. It's like, what the fuck are they on about? Of course I'm available. I'm here. Yeah. I thought I was so authentic. And that's the scary part. I was full of shit. So it's very humbling to actually look at what true authenticity feels like and to activate it and then live it. And that's where you are right now. So the future's looking very bright, my darling.
Yes, love it. Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, Miss Kenya. Kenya, and we're about to get on a separate call, so I'll see you over there.
Perfect. Thank you.
I go, bye.